Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? How are you doing this week? Um, I am very glad to be here with you in this week and to say hello again and at least know how are you doing in this time. A To start with this session, I want to congratulate you, as always, as usual, for the great effort and in all the commitment that you have made to do the activities this week and the previous ones. You have been doing an excellent job, and I encourage you to keep on working so hard, and especially this week that we are almost a more than a half of the course. A this I mean this is just one week that we left to finish this module. So a to start with, well, I'm looking at Laura. Good evening. How are you doing? Well, to start with, after the congratulations that you deserve for working so hard, I am going to share with you a screen to share the plantilla, the template, and I have written some examples for you to make clearer the way you have to work and the activities. So I will share with you the um the document and see what you have to do in this week. So as you may see in activity 4, applying for a job, you have to write down 2 sentences explaining or telling what you can do in as you may see here, applying for a job. You are looking for a job. Estás buscando a job. So you have to say what your abilities, what you can do, and also what you cannot do. So, what I am emphasizing here is that uh, you have to include in the answer, first of all, the pronoun I, which means yo, and also the verb that included in the question. So the answer, a correct answer should say, I can. You shouldn't, I would say this in Spanish so to make it clear. No es una respuesta correcta si solo me dicen, remember names, drive a car. Tienes que escribir el pronombre yo y el verbo con el que se está formulando la pregunta. So I can, in this case, um, I wrote these sentences, I made up, las inventé. I can remember names and numbers. And the other one, I left it blank, so you answer according to your personal abilities. Then, question number 2, what can't you do? Lo que no. So again, the answer is I can't speak French, I can't, and then again the blank. So you fill in the space with a personal abilities. Then question number 3, what do you like to do? So in this case, we are using the auxiliary do, but anyway, what I highlighted in red is the verb like. So you have to include it in the answer, and it is I like to answer the phone. I like, uh, and you write down the answer according to your personal information or your abilities. Then question number 4, what do you dislike? Then the only thing you have to write is I dislike, for example, I dislike to speak to rude people. Gente grosera. I dislike, no me gusta, to speak to rude people. And according to you, I dislike and something else. Question number 5. What do you hate to do? I hate to work on messy desks. Odio trabajar en escritorios desordenados. I hate to work on messy desks and your sentence this. Then what do you love to do? I love to be punctual and I love any other sentence. So if you notice, going back to the sentences, don't forget, remember, recuerda, you have to include the verb and the pronoun I. In English, it is incorrect if we just say remember names, speak French. We have to include the pronoun and the verb. And also don't forget to paste 2 pictures. I just pasted 1 picture, but remember that you have to paste 2 pictures. Then let's move to here I have written this here in Spanish. So toma en cuenta los verbos que debes utilizar to include them in the answer. Toma en cuenta que la respuesta debe tener el pronombre I y el verbo con el que se hace la pregunta. What I have already told you. Recuerda agregar el audio en el que leerás en voz alta los enunciados. And also remember 2 sentences per question. Now let's move to activity number 6, which is finding a roommate. Here you have to write down 10 questions. 10 questions. Here, what you have to pay attention is that you have to write the question with the auxiliary thus. Tercera persona, auxiliar thus, para formular las preguntas. Aquí, I would say this in Spanish. Aquí fíjate que este verbo, thus, no tiene nada que ver con el verbo do, hacer. Simplemente es un auxiliar. Es como si cuando nosotros abrimos aquí el signo de interrogación para formular preguntas, en inglés, si te fijas, no hay signo de interrogación, sino que se anota el auxiliar does. Y aquí tenemos este ejemplo que estaba en la plantilla. What time does he or she have lunch? And we have Samantha has lunch at 7 o'clock. Then my 2 examples are, does she have a pet? No, she doesn't have a pet. Or, yes, she does. She has a cat. I would say this also in Spanish. Aquí, ¿qué pasa? Lo interesante de redactar estos enunciados es que todos van a llevar el auxiliar thus. Todos absolutamente. ¿Qué quiere decir? No le voy a hacer la pregunta directamente. No le voy a decir, oye, ¿trabajas? Oye, ¿estudias? No, sino como si yo le estuviera preguntando a otra persona que la conoce, y entonces, y trabaja, y trabaja, estudia, etc. Entonces, por eso es que todas las preguntas van con el auxiliar thus. Y luego, en la respuesta, si vemos aquí, pueden ser 2 tipos de respuesta corta o respuesta larga. La corta solamente digo, no, she doesn't, or yes, she does. La respuesta larga tendría que decir, yes, she does. She has a cat or a parrot or a dog or whatever pet she has. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que noto aquí? Que como yo en la pregunta ya anoté el auxiliar does el verbo no se conjuga en tercera persona. Ese va en su forma base. Pero cuando ya respondo, entonces el verbo principal ya lo tengo que conjugar. ¿Qué quiere decir conjugar? Pues que entonces ya le voy a agregar la S o la ES para que yo indique que estoy conjugando en presente simple y tercera persona, que en este caso es she. Vamos con la siguiente pregunta. Let's move to the second question. How often does my auxiliary she do the laundry? Aquí te preguntarás, ¿por qué dos veces do? Porque este does es el auxiliar para formular la pregunta. Y este segundo do es porque el verbo lavar la ropa se dice do the laundry. Por eso es que de momento puedes decir, ¿por qué veo aquí un does y acá otro do? Porque el verbo es do the laundry. ¿Sí? Entonces, how often does she do the laundry? ¿Cuál es mi verbo principal? Do the laundry. La respuesta larga sería, she does the laundry 3 times a week. ¿Con qué frecuencia, how often o cada cuándo lava su ropa? Lava su ropa 3 veces a la semana. Por eso aquí te anoté el verbo principal en verde y acá también para que veas la diferencia de no es el auxiliar, sino la conjugación en tercera persona del verbo principal. Espero que me haya explicado. Now, in this link, if you follow this link, you will find some other examples and more exercises to work on those to write down sentences using do, it does. Then, also take into consideration or consider that you may write down your answers, use your questions, using who, where, when, what time, how often. These are called WH questions. Estas se llaman WH questions. ¿Por qué se llaman así? Because you see W, W, H, W, H, W, H. That is why they are called WH questions. So, when we start a sentence, a question with a WH, the structure will be this one. La estructura es así cuando iniciamos con una WH. WH, auxiliary does, the pronoun he or she, the main verb, and the complement. I have a note here. And there's a verb plus complement. Then, see the example. What time does she have lunch? And then the long answer is, she has. ¿Por qué cambié aquí a has? Porque mi verbo principal es have y ahora que ya lo conjugo en tercera persona, cambia a has. She has lunch at 13 hours. Okay, very good. Now, remember that questions with auxiliary, that you have made questions with the auxiliary thus. In the case, as I already explained, in the case of long answers, we do not include the auxiliary, and the verb is conjugated in third person, which means that we have to add an S or ES. Now, here I wrote here, pero me pregunto, ¿cómo voy a saber qué verbos terminan en S o en ES? Sencillísimo. Todos los verbos que terminen en es, sh, ch, x, o or gh, solamente estos verbos le vamos a agregar es. Is that hopefully this is clear. Espero que quede claro. always we have to add es. Let's see, for example, does she exercise? Aquí fíjate cómo no tiene ninguna S porque tengo el auxiliar aquí. Does she exercise regularly? Short answer. Short question. Yes, she does. Long answer. Yes, she exercises. If you notice the verb ends in I, termina en E, entonces ya solo le agregamos la S. Exercises every day. Hopefully this is clear. Espero que vayamos bien. Then, another question. Otra, I will say this in Spanish too because this is very important. Otra forma de hacer la pregunta es con el verbo is, es decir, con el verbo to be. Ten mucho cuidado de no utilizar thus e is en el mismo enunciado. Eso no puede ser porque los dos, como los dos pueden funcionar como auxiliar, no es conveniente, bueno, no es que no es conveniente, es incorrecto tener thus con is en el mismo enunciado. Solamente uno u otro. Then, here we have is plus he or she plus occupation or adjective. For example, is she quiet? ¿Es tranquila? No, she isn't. Or, yes, she is. Is she a teacher? Yes, she is. Or, no, she isn't. If you notice again, in this case, the auxiliary is the verb is. And in this case, en este caso, el único con el que sí contestamos. Si yo utilizo does, ya no lo ocupo en respuestas largas. Pero si utilizo el verbo is, ese sí lo voy a utilizar en respuestas cortas o respuesta larga. Let me give you a long answer. Is she quiet? Is she quiet? No, she isn't. No, she isn't. She always goes to parties. She always goes to parties. So here we have the auxiliary. Then, and finally, remember that when we use does to make questions, this is like an auxiliary, not like a verb to hacer. This is what I already explained. No significa hacer, sino significa que estamos anotando el signo de interrogación. Okay, very good. Now, let's continue and see. Finally, you have to write down a paragraph using the adverbs of time first, after that, then, and finally, to briefly, de manera corta, explain what your roommate usually do. So, for example, this is my possible new roommate, and here you write down the name. This is her routine. First, she wakes up at 6 a.m. After that, she runs. Here I'll put it in red. So you notice, and don't forget that we need to conjugate the verb. Wakes up at 6 a.m. After that, she runs in the park for 30 minutes. Then and you continue explaining what your possible roommate, his or her routine of your possible roommate. And finally, remember that you have to complete all the exercises and participate in the learning forum, because remember that they give you extra points. And also, what I want you to share, también te invito para, por si tienes, si estás teniendo como dificultad en la pronunciación, te invito a que hagas lo siguiente. Puedes irte te vas a Google. En la parte superior tú anotas, por ejemplo, I can type fast. Si le damos un enter, let's see what happened. Well, fine. No. Oops. Let's see. Let's choose this one. Let's see if this is it. No. What? Let's find another one. Cause or just let's write type. Well, no. What is it? What am I doing? Let's just wait. Here it is. Then if you see here, if you write I can run, let's see, for example, we click on this small speaker and let's listen.
I can run. I can run. I can run.
Now let's write it in negative.
I can't run.
So you notice the difference?
I can't run. I can't run.
And this way you may listen to the pronunciation as many times as you need. So you listen and you practice, and you will see how you will improve your pronunciation very fast. And see also the pronunciation and the intonation. And let's listen to it again.
I can't run.
I can't run. So you notice how I can't, it goes up and then
I can't run.
Run goes down. I can't run. I can't run. So in this way, you may have as much practice as you need. So as I was telling you, to improve your pronunciation. Very, very nice. Now let's go back to the to the live session and see. Let's see who we have. Laura, Alain, Carmen. How are you? Good night. Well, hello. Alain. Okay, understood. Very useful. Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that you find the information useful and also the explanation. So, but anyway, if you have any other questions, remember that well, keep in touch through the messenger, the mensajero by the platform, and just to any question, even if you consider that this is very simple, just feel free to ask. This is my job. This is what I have and want to do. Sí, entonces cualquier duda, por muy sencilla, muy simple que sea, no duden en preguntarme, por favor. Esa es mi labor y me gusta hacerlo. So, Do you have any questions so far? ¿Alguna pregunta hasta el momento? How did you find the information? And also remember that there is a template. I will share with you the template and the upload it to the learning forum in case you needed to have it before you continue doing the activities. So if you don't have any questions, I'll finish and let you no, okay, Laura, you don't have any questions. So, in I don't want to take any more of your time. So I don't want to to make the session longer. And see you then. Have a nice weekend and have a good sleep. And keep on working as hard as you've been working. So then, bye bye and see you next week. Bye.